That moment, you walk into a room, could be a party, could be a job interview, could even be a Zoom call, and someone turns to you and says those 5 little words. Tell me about yourself.
And your brain just freezes.
Right.
It's this universal moment of panic because you suddenly have to condense your entire existence into, what, 30 seconds?
Yeah.
And you're thinking, which version do I give them?
Exactly. Do you give them the resume version, the first date version? It feels so high stakes, but it shouldn't have to be.
Well, it shouldn't. An introduction is really just an invitation. It's a doorway. And the key is knowing how to build that doorway so other people feel like they can walk through it.
And that is exactly what we're getting into today. We found this fantastic piece of source material. On the surface, it looks incredibly simple. It's a transcript of a structured conversation between 2 English teachers, Paul and Emily, who are just practicing how to introduce themselves.
They cover all the basics: name, job, family, hobbies, pets, the works. But we're not looking at it as a language lesson. We're treating this as a blueprint for building rapport and doing it fast.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Our deep dive today is all about the architecture of that simple introduction. We're going to see how Paul and Emily, just by sharing these really specific, curated details, managed to build a connection and reveal these deep personality traits almost instantly.
And for you, the learner, this is so important because what this really boils down to is categorization. I mean, that sounds a bit clinical, but effective communication is all about putting information into logical buckets. It makes it easy for the other person to follow, to remember, and, most importantly, to ask a follow-up question.
Right. It's not just an information dump. It's strategic.
It's absolutely strategic. You give them hooks, you give them things to grab onto. And Paul and Emily, they do this perfectly.
So let's get into those buckets. Let's start with the foundation. How do they establish the basics?
All right. So section 1, this is the scaffolding. The foundational data points. We're talking name, origin, age, and occupation. These are the things that, they ground the person in a specific time and place.
They're the non-negotiables. You have to have this context to start building anything else.
So first up, name. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
We have Paul. That's P-A-U-L, and Emily.
Yeah.
Easy enough. But it's what comes next that's so revealing. The location.
Mm-hmm. And it's not just where they're from. Paul's from Canada, Emily's from the United States. That's fine. But it's where they live now that gives us the first major clue about who they are.
Okay, so Paul, he lives in a small town. And he doesn't just state it as a fact, he adds the why. He says he likes it because it's quiet. We also find out he's got a small house with a garden.
Right. And you need to hold that image in your mind. Quiet. Space. A garden. Something you have to tend to. Now contrast that with Emily. Total opposite. She lives in a big city. She describes it as very busy, very noisy, but then she drops the most important line.
But I love it.
But I love it, exactly. She's not just tolerating the chaos, she's thriving in it. And she lives in a small apartment, which, is the trade-off.
It's a massive trade-off. And this contrast, right out of the gate, it tells us so much about their energy requirements, how they manage their daily life.
I think that's a great way to put it. Paul seems to be actively choosing an environment that's low stimulus. The quiet town, the garden. It suggests he needs that calm to recharge so he can focus his energy elsewhere, like on his job.
Yes, he's managing his external stimuli. He doesn't want to waste mental energy filtering out sirens and crowds. It points to a personality that probably values deep focus.
Okay, but let's play devil's advocate for a second. Is it just a preference for focus, or could it be seen as maybe an inability to handle complexity? And on the flip side, is Emily's love for the noisy city a sign of strength? Or is she, an adrenaline junkie?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
For Emily, I don't think the noise is a distraction. I think it's fuel. It's the pulse of the city, it's opportunity, it's energy. She has a much higher threshold for that kind of input, the quiet that Paul craves. She might find that, boring or isolating.
And the housing is the physical proof of that choice. Paul gets his space, his house, his garden. He sacrifices maybe career opportunities or cultural events for that. Emily does the exact opposite. She gives up the physical space, that small apartment, for access to the energy of the city. So location becomes this shorthand for your entire value system.
It absolutely is. And that's the lesson for you, the listener. Your location isn't just an address. It's a statement.
Mm-hmm.
When you introduce yourself, don't just say, I live in Chicago. Say why. I live in Chicago because I feed off the energy of being around so many different people. Or I live out in the suburbs because I need that quiet space to think.
It gives the other person something to connect with. They immediately understand your world a little better.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, this person needs quiet to function, or this person thrives on action. It's a huge piece of the puzzle.
Huge piece.
Okay, so they've set the scene geographically. The next bucket is their current chapter in life. Age and vocation.
Right. Paul's 28, Emily's 25. Not a huge difference, but it gives us a bit of context. We even hear that Emily's older brother, Tom, is 29, which just kind of helps situate everyone.
Yeah.
But the age is just a number. The jobs. That's where the personality really comes through.
So Paul is an English teacher, and the source material adds that he loves his job. That's a powerful statement.
Very. And Emily is a student. She's studying art. And again, she adds the personal feeling. She loves to draw and paint and finds it very fun and creative.
And here's where the source material itself makes this great observation. It says that an art student and an English teacher would make a perfect team for a podcast. And I want to dig into that. Why is that combination so potent?
It's the classic pairing of structure and creativity, of, you could say, form and chaos.
Explain that.
Well, Paul, the English teacher, he brings the structure. He understands the rules of language, clarity, how to organize ideas so they make sense. He's the architect. He builds the container for the conversation.
While Emily, the art student, she brings the wild, messy, creative energy. She's not worried about the grammar. She's focused on the emotional impact, the visual idea, the imagination. She's the one who fills that container.
Exactly. And look how it mirrors their location choices. Paul's structured teaching is like his quiet, orderly town. Emily's artistic exploration is like her busy, chaotic city. They need each other for balance.
That's fascinating. So for you listening, when you introduce your job, it's not just about the title. It's about framing what you do. If Paul just said, I'm a teacher, that's a fact. But by adding that he loves it, he's signaling something about his passion and his purpose.
He's signaling that he's a resource, not a complainer. Think about it. When you meet someone new and they immediately start complaining about their job, it's a bit of a downer.
Oh, absolutely. It puts you in the position of having to, console them.
Right. But when someone says they love what they do, it's infectious. It suggests they have high energy and a positive outlook. It's a very attractive quality, both personally and professionally.
So we have Paul, a passionate teacher who values structure and clarity, living in a quiet town that supports that focus.
And Emily, a creative art student who values imagination and energy, living in a big city that fuels it. Within just a few sentences, we have these incredibly clear, complementary profiles.
It's a masterclass in efficient communication.
Okay, so we've moved past the foundational stuff, the where and the what. Now we get into section 2, which is the personal context. This is where it gets really human. We're talking about family and pets.
This is where we move from external identifiers to the internal relationships. This is what gives the introduction emotional depth.
So family structure. We learn that Emily has one older brother, Tom, he's 29, and Paul has a younger sister, Sarah, who's a student. And again, notice the details they choose to include. We don't just learn that Sarah is a student. We learn she studies music and plays the piano.
Another creative link.
Exactly. And the source notes that Emily's family is very creative. These aren't random facts. They're chosen to reinforce the identities they're building. It tells us that their current paths aren't a surprise. They come from environments that valued these skills.
And the parental roles. This is where it gets really interesting, especially for Paul. His mother is a writer.
A creative profession. Language, narrative, storytelling.
And his father is a doctor.
A practical, scientific, service-oriented profession. Diagnosis, structure, helping people.
So you have this incredible blend of the arts and the sciences in his background, and it just clicks, doesn't it? It explains so much about him being an English teacher. He's combining the writer's love for narrative with the doctor's need for clarity and service.
It's perfect. His teaching style is probably very structured, very clear. That's the doctor side, but also filled with engaging stories. The writer side.
Yeah.
And by sharing that one detail about his parents, he's communicated all of that complexity without having to say, I'm a complex person.
It's so efficient. Now, what about Emily's parents? Her mother is a teacher of little children, which the source calls an important job.
Right, which points to a background of patience, nurturing, foundational care. But it's her father's job that adds this amazing sensory detail to the conversation. He's a chef.
I love this detail. The food at home is always delicious.
Yeah.
And then we get this perfect humanizing moment.
The jealousy. She says she's jealous of her father's skill. And that little comment, that moment of playful vulnerability, is just conversational gold.
Why is that so effective?
Because it's real. Nobody's life is perfect. Admitting a small, relatable aspiration like that makes you so much more accessible than just listing a bunch of facts. It shows she admires mastery. And it also reinforces her connection to the senses art, the noisy city, and now delicious food.
It all ties together. Paul's background explains his balance. Emily's background explains her love for creative, sensory experiences.
So the takeaway here for you is clear. When you mention your family, don't just list their jobs. Pick a detail that explains something about you. My dad was an engineer, so I guess that's where I get my love for taking things apart. It provides an origin story.
Okay, and that brings us to maybe my favorite section, pets. The classic dog person versus cat person debate.
Ah, yes. And this connects so perfectly back to the small town versus big city dynamic we started with. Pets are a huge tell. They're micro insights into how you manage relationships, energy, and companionship.
So Paul, our quiet small town guy, of course he has a dog named Max.
And look at the description. Max is brown, friendly, and very funny. And Paul explicitly says he likes dogs because they are loyal and friendly.
A friendly, funny dog is the perfect companion for an active, social person in a quiet environment. The dog needs walks, it needs a routine, it needs engagement. It gets Paul out of the house and interacting with the world, which perfectly complements his soccer hobby. Max is his social partner.
Now let's look at Emily, the high-energy art student in the busy city. She has a cat named Luna.
And Luna's description is so specific. She's black and white, but more importantly, she is very quiet and very sleepy.
And this is where it gets psychologically fascinating. Because you might think, wait, that's a contradiction. Emily loves noise and energy, so why would she have a sleepy, quiet pet?
I was just thinking that. It seems like a mismatch.
But it's not a mismatch, it's a balance. Emily's external environment is already chaotic and high stimulus. Her small apartment is her sanctuary. The last thing she needs is a high-energy, demanding pet adding to the noise. Luna, the sleepy, independent cat, is the perfect anchor of calm in her storm.
Wow, I never thought of it that way. Luna is her counterweight.
That's exactly what she is. Paul chooses a pet that matches his desired lifestyle in a low-stimulus environment. Emily chooses a pet that balances her reality in a high-stimulus environment. It's an act of emotional regulation through pet ownership.
So when you're introducing yourself saying, I have a sleepy cat, is infinitely more revealing than just, I have a cat.
Infinitely. It tells a story about how you manage your life and what you need from your companions. Do you need active engagement or quiet independence? Your pet choice reveals that in a heartbeat.
Okay, we are now entering what the source material calls the fun part. Section 3 is all about defining preferences. Hobbies, likes, and dislikes. This is really the heart of rapport building, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. This is where you move from who you are to what you enjoy. These are the low-stakes, high-reward topics that spark real conversation.
And they start with the easiest one of all, food, the great unifier. We learn that both of them like pizza, which is a nice common ground.
A safe bet. But, crucially, their preferences are different, and that difference is what makes it interesting.
Right. If they both just said, I like pepperoni, the conversation kind of dies. But Paul specifies his favorite is vegetable pizza with tomatoes and peppers and onions, and he calls it healthy and delicious.
Which fits his persona perfectly, right?
Yeah.
The disciplined, structured guy who has a garden. Even his pizza choice is curated and has a wellness angle to it.
Meanwhile, Emily likes a classic pepperoni, but her overall favorite food is pasta, which she describes as very yummy.
Again, total on brand for her. Pasta is comfort, it's indulgence, it's pure sensory pleasure. It connects right back to her chef father. She's not thinking about healthy, she's thinking about yummy.
So you have disciplined enjoyment versus indulgent pleasure. It's such a simple way to communicate a core part of their personalities.
And that difference is the hook. It invites a playful debate. It's more interesting than agreement.
Okay, next up, colors. This can feel a little bit like a kindergarten exercise, but the way they do it is actually quite revealing.
It's all in the why. Paul's favorite color is blue. Why? Because it's like the sky, a nice calm color.
And Emily's is green. Why? Because it's like trees and grass, the color of nature.
And I just love this little detail, because here they are living in these polar opposite environments, the quiet town and the noisy city, but their core aesthetic preferences meet in the natural world.
The blue sky over the green grass. It's a point of harmony. Paul seeks the calm of the open sky, and Emily, even in her concrete jungle, craves the vitality of a green garden.
It shows that despite their different strategies, they have a shared appreciation for natural beauty. And again, for you listening, the key is to explain the reason. Don't just say, my favorite color is blue. Say, my favorite color is blue because it reminds me of the ocean and feels really peaceful. That gives the other person an emotional connection.
So true. Okay, let's get into hobbies. This is a big one. This is how you spend your free time, which says a lot about you. And we see that same split again, active versus creative.
Let's start with Emily. Her hobbies are very internal, very reflective. She loves painting, which she does every weekend because she says it helps her relax.
Which makes perfect sense. She lives in a loud city, studies a demanding subject. Painting is her way of creating a zone of quiet focus. It's meditative.
Yeah. And her other hobby is reading books, specifically adventure stories. So she's escaping into these other worlds, these structured narratives, which is probably a great counterbalance to the randomness of city life.
Her relaxation is all about internal creation and consumption. Now, Paul is the complete opposite.
Completely. His hobbies are external and social. He listens to music, specifically old rock music. He plays sports soccer with friends on Saturdays. And he likes watching movies.
So he recharges through physical exertion and social connection. It fits perfectly with the friendly dog, the active teaching job. He's an extroverted relaxer.
I'm curious about the old rock music detail. Why do you think that's so specific?
Well, it suggests a preference for something classic, maybe a bit rebellious, but still structured. It's not chaotic electronic music. It's got verses and choruses. It's reliable. It gives him a bit of energy and edge to break up the quiet of his small town.
That's a great analysis. So he uses external noise rock music to energize his quiet life, while Emily uses internal quiet painting to calm her noisy life. Their hobbies are basically their survival strategies.
And yet they find common ground again with movies. They both love comedies. And Paul also likes animated movies because of the imagination.
And that imagination comment is the bridge that connects him back to Emily, the artist. It shows that even though their methods are different, they share a core value, an appreciation for creativity. And that's such a key technique. You highlight the differences to create interest, but you find a point of shared enjoyment to maintain the connection.
Okay, this brings us to the final part of this section, and it might be the most underrated: dislikes, what we don't like.
This is so important. Stating a dislike sets a boundary. It can be humorous, and honestly, it's often more memorable than a like.
So food dislikes first, Paul dislikes olives.
A classic polarizing food.
Yeah.
Very relatable.
And Emily dislikes spicy hot food. And the moment Paul says he dislikes olives, Emily jumps in with, see, we're different again. They're using the difference as a point of connection.
And Emily's dislike of spicy food totally tracks. She's carefully managing her sensory input. Spicy food is an intense, almost aggressive sensation. She prefers the comfort of pasta, not the pain of a habanero.
But the activity dislikes are even more telling. Paul dislikes waiting in long lines. He says it's boring.
And what does that really mean? It means he values efficiency. He's an active person-teacher, soccer player. Forced stillness, wasted time. It's fundamentally against his nature. It's an intellectual annoyance.
We can just imagine him as a teacher, right?
Yeah.
Every minute of the class is planned. No wasted time.
Exactly. And Emily, she dislikes waking up very early. She says she's not a morning person, and she likes her sleep.
Which is such a classic artist trope, but it's also deeply relatable, and it makes sense. Creativity probably doesn't operate on a 9-to-5 schedule. She needs that rest, that unstructured dream time to fuel her creative work in the city.
And just like that, the picture is complete. We know their environments, their values, their passions, and even their pet peeves. Through just a handful of categorized details, these two people feel completely real to us.
All right, we've broken it all down. We've seen all the individual buckets that Paul and Emily used. So now in section 4, we have to talk about strategy. How do you actually use this in the real world without just, reciting a long list?
Yes, this is the most important part. Because if you just walk up to someone and list all 10 things, name, age, job, family, the works, you're going to overwhelm them. That's not a conversation. That's a data dump.
The source material even acknowledges this, calling it a very long answer. So the goal isn't to memorize the list. The list is your toolbox. The skill is picking the right tool for the job.
Exactly. And the source gives us these perfect shortened examples that model how to do this effectively. Let's look at Paul's.
Paul's short version is, my name is Paul. I'm a teacher. I like dogs and pizza, but I don't like olives.
And Emily's. Hi, I'm Emily. I'm a student. I love cats and pasta, but I don't like to wake up early.
They are so simple, but so effective. They're clear, they're friendly, and they're packed with hooks. They follow what we could call the rule of 3, plus context.
I like that. So the context is the non-negotiable. Name and Job. I'm Paul, I'm a teacher. I'm Emily, I'm a student. You need that.
Then you get the 3 hooks. A positive like dogs and pizza. A second, positive like cats and pasta. And then a boundary, a little quirk. The dislike of olives or waking up early.
And giving 3 hooks is so smart because it gives the other person a choice. If they're a dog person, they can ask about Max. If they love Italian food, they can talk about pizza. If they also hate olives, boom, you have an instant bond over a shared pet peeve.
You're never leaving them hanging, wondering what to say next. You've basically handed them 3 different conversation starters on a silver platter.
It's incredibly generous, conversationally speaking. And notice how the 3 items they chose reinforce their core personalities. Paul's choices: teacher, dog, pizza point to service, connection, and disciplined taste. Emily's student, cat, pasta point to her creative face, her independence, and her love of sensory pleasure.
So for you listening, the exercise is to look at your own 10 buckets and pick your best 3 hooks. And try to make them varied. Don't just pick 3 things that are all about sports. Pick one about a pet, one about food, and one about a funny dislike. Give people variety.
And that leads us to the final and most advanced tip from this entire deep dive. You have to tailor your introduction to the situation. Context is everything.
Okay, let's run through some scenarios. Let's say it's a professional networking event. The goal is to establish credibility and find potential collaborators. What would Paul say?
He would not talk about his dog or pizza. That's not relevant. He needs to lean into that writer-doctor parentage. He'd say something like, I'm Paul, an English teacher. My mother was a writer, and my father was a doctor. So I specialize in taking complex ideas and communicating them with narrative clarity.
Wow, that is powerful. He immediately signals his unique value proposition. He's not just a teacher. He's a bridge between the technical and the creative.
And Emily. At that same event, she needs to sell her creativity, but also her ability to handle pressure. She could say, hi, I'm Emily. I'm an art student and a painter. I actually thrive in really busy, high-energy environments, and I love finding creative solutions in the middle of chaos.
Again, brilliant. She takes her love for the noisy city and frames it as a professional strength. She can handle chaos. That's a huge selling point.
Okay, new scenario, a casual party. The goal is just to make friends, find common ground.
Here's where Paul brings in the dog and the hobbies. He could say, hey, I'm Paul. I spend my weekends playing soccer and trying to teach my dog, Max, new tricks. Just don't ask me about my favorite new music, because I'm still stuck on old rock.
That's so friendly and approachable. It's got an activity, a pet, and a self-deprecating, humorous comment. It gives people so many easy ways to respond.
And Emily at the party?
She leaned into the sensory stuff. Hi, I'm Emily. I'm usually either painting or trying to find the best pasta in the city. I love talking about art or food, but fair warning, I'm not a morning person, so I probably won't be at brunch tomorrow.
It's charming, it's specific, and it sets a fun, relaxed boundary. It invites conversation about her passions.
So you see, the master list of 10 buckets is your database. The real skill is querying that database for the right information for the right moment.
The introduction is successful not when you finish talking, but when the other person asks a question.
That is the moment of connection. That's the moment of true rapport. When they hear your specific detail, oh, you like old rock music, what bands? That's when the dialogue truly begins.
You're not just giving a speech, you are opening a door and inviting them to step through. And if they only remember one thing about you, it should be a specific, memorable detail.
The teacher whose dad was a doctor, the artist with the sleepy cat named Luna. Those are the things that stick. That's cognitive traction.
And having this structure, this set of pre-selected hooks, it removes all the anxiety from that tell me about yourself moment. You're not panicked, you're prepared.
You move from being a nervous speaker to a strategic communicator. You have your tools and you know how and when to use them.
This has been such a great deep dive. I mean, we've taken what seems like a very, very simple dialogue and just pulled out these complex psychological profiles.
It's amazing what's hiding in plain sight, isn't it? Just to recap, we learned about Paul, the Canadian teacher, son of a writer and a doctor, living his quiet life in a small town with his funny brown dog, Max. He loves old rock music and vegetable pizza and absolutely hates waiting in lines.
And Emily, the American art student who thrives in the chaos of a big city, who's a little bit jealous of her chef father. She shares her apartment with a sleepy black and white cat named Luna, loves pasta, the color green, and will not be waking up early for anyone.
And every single one of those details wasn't random. It reinforced a central theme about how they manage their energy and what they value in life.
I think the biggest insight for you, the learner, is that a good introduction is never about reciting your resume. It's about strategic selection. You have to pick those specific, memorable details that will either connect with someone or create an interesting point of contrast. Specificity is what makes you stick in someone's mind.
Yes. Think about the adjectives. A friendly brown dog, a sleepy black and white cat, a nice calm color. Those sensory details are the handles that allow someone's brain to grab onto the information and remember you. In a world where everyone is giving generic answers, specificity is your superpower.
So we'll leave you with a final thought to reflect on. If Paul finds his comfort in a quiet town with his active, friendly dog, and Emily thrives in a noisy city balanced by her sleepy, independent cat, what is the specific contrasting detail about your life, your own personal mix of calm and chaos that you can use to open that conversational door and invite someone in?
It's time to stop just answering the question and start curating your introduction.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll be back soon with more insights into the architecture of everyday life.